Welcome back again, y'all. It's your girl, Unique Air, your metaphysical death doula, which we know there is no death. It's only life after life after life after life after life. So we got something to celebrate about, right? You slip out of one life into the next. So, hey, I'm back again to read another chapter for you guys. And today I am going to be reading. The topic is going to be There is No Death. I said, I keep saying that. I may as well go ahead and read to them exactly, how that plays out, that there is no death. When I found that out, I was ecstatic. I was just like, what? Like, we don't just end and you know, we don't just lay in the dirt or, we don't go straight to hell or, you know what I'm saying? When I found that out, I was so happy. So I got to spread the good news. And I think this is the good news that the book was talking about. They telling you via religion that the gift of God is eternal life. Well, you know what? We all got that. We already got the gift. We already have it. So I think what the true purpose is for us to know how to attain it, right? How to how to live properly in that gift or how to hone it while we're here in the earth school, right? Because we already have eternal life. The thing is what do you do? What do you do when you get out of this third dimension? What do you do in this life to make sure that your next life is going to be even better? Those are the things that we need to understand. And that is what the religions do not tell you, especially Christianity. Christianity just tells you, if you uh when you die, you're going to be with Christ. To be absent from the body, this body is to be present with Christ, or either you go to hell. You see, and that is where the fallacy comes in. That is not true. That is not true. And so let's read about how there is no death. Stick with me, like, share, and subscribe. And everything that I speak on, I will definitely expound on it. If not in this reading, the next. I'm going to keep going and going and going because we have so many people leaving here every day. Babies now because of that, that medical thing that they gave out saying that it was going to help with it. Anyway, I ain't going to go there because I don't want to be told that I can't keep my video up. So, look, y'all, let's get started. There is no death. The race has been hypnotized with the idea of death. The common usage of the term reflects the illusion. We hear those who should know better speaking of persons being cut down by the grim reaper, cut off in his prime, his activities terminated, a busy life brought to an end, etc., etc., etc. The idea expressed being that the individual who had been wiped out of existence and reduced to nothing. In the Western world, this is particularly true. Although the dominant religion of the West teaches the joys of the hereafter in such strong terms that it would seem that every believer would welcome the transition, right? Since they preach about how good life is after death and you ought to be with Christ, well, then why is it that the Pope rides around in a bulletproof cart so that he don't get killed? Because if it's that good, everybody should want to go, right? Although it might well be supposed that relatives and friends would don gay robes and deck themselves with bright flowers in token of the passage of the loved one to a happier and brighter sphere of existence, we see just the opposite manifestation. So if it's supposed to be beautiful and your loved one passed believing in Christ and all this kind of stuff, and why aren't we celebrating at funerals? Why are we mourning? Why are we wearing all black and going through changes and all of this? So that goes to show you that people really don't believe what they think they believe, right? The average person, in spite of his faith and creed, seems to dread the approach of the grim reaper. And his friends drape themselves in black robes and give every other outward token of having forever lost the beloved one. How could you forever lose them when we all have eternal life? In spite of their beliefs or expression of belief, death has a terror which they seemingly cannot overcome. To those who have acquired that sense of consciousness of the illusion of death, these frightful emotions have faded away. Hmm. That would be me, you, and whoever else knows that there is no death. Let me read that again. To those who have acquired the sense of consciousness of the illusion of death, these frightful emotions have faded away. We like, hey, bring it on. When it's my time, and I want you to celebrate. Cremate this damn body and celebrate my life. To them, while they naturally feel the sorrow of temporary separation and the loss of companionship, the loved one is seen to have simply passed on to to another phase of life, and nothing has been lost. Nothing has perished. And that's exactly what has happened. They've passed on to another phase of life. Ain't nothing lost. You'll see them again. There is a centuries old Hindu fable in which is told the tale of a caterpillar who, feeling the approach of the languor, which betokened the end of the crawling stage of existence and the beginning of the long sleep of the chrysalis stage, called his friends around him. It is sad, he said, to think that I must abandon my life, filled with so many bright promises of future achievement. Cut off by the grim reaper in my very prime, I am an example of the heartlessness of nature. Farewell, good friends, farewell forever. Tomorrow I shall be no more. And, accompanied by the tears and lamentation of the friends surrounding, surrounded his deathbed, he passed away. An old caterpillar, remarkably, sadly. Our brother has left us. His fate is also ours. One by one we shall be cut down by the scythe of the destroyer, like unto the grass of the field. By faith we hope to rise again. But perhaps this is the best, but perhaps this is but the voice inspired by a vain hope. None of us knows anything positively of another life. Let us mourn the common fate of our race, whereupon, sadly, the departed, the grim irony of this little fable is clearly perceived by all of us, and we smile at the thought of the ignorance which attended the first stage of the transformation of the lowly crawling thing into the gloriously hued creature, which in time will emerge from the sleep of death into a higher form of life. But smile not, friends, at the illusion of the caterpillars. They were but even as you and I. For the Hindu storyteller of centuries ago has pictured human ignorance and illusion in this little fable of the lower forms of life. So, in other words, all occultists recognize in the transformation stages of the caterpillar, chrysalis, butterfly, a picture of the transformation which awaits every mortal man and woman. For death to the human being is no more a termination of cessation than is the death sleep of the caterpillar. And neither does life cease for even a single instant. Life persists while nature works her changes. We advise every student to carry with him the lesson of this little fable told centuries ago to the children of the Hindu race and passed on by them from generation to generation. So, in other words, the caterpillar was saying he finna die because he was about to go into the chrysalis phase, and no more would he be a creepy crawly, but he was about to get his wings. But from the point of view of mere mortals who do not understand that they are God, that you just go into another life, they gave the story showing how they mourned him. Oh, he gonna be da 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 da. But instead, you ain't gonna see him no more in that form that he was in. He's now a butterfly flying through the air. Okay, he ain't on the ground no more. So that is a great story to even tell your children today, because that's really what it is. You go to higher realms depending on the work that you do. Says, strictly speaking, from the Oriental point of view, there's no such thing as death. The name is a lie, the idea an illusion growing from ignorance. There is no death. There is nothing but life. Life has many phases and forms, and some of the phases are called death by ignorant men. Nothing really dies, though everything experiences a change of form and activity. As Edwin Arnold so beautifully expresses in his translation of the Bhagavad Gita. Never the spirit was born. The spirit shall cease to be. Never. Never was time. It was not. End and beginning are dreams. In other words, the spirit is eternal. Your astral, that's eternal. Well, you're going to even share the astral to go into the mental. But what's in here, what's speaking to you now is eternal. The shell that you see is limited. But what's in here is eternal. Birthless and deathless and changeless remaineth the spirit forever. Death hath not touched it at all, dead though the house of it seems. Got that? Materialists frequently urge as an argument against the persistence of life beyond the stage of death the assumed fact that everything in nature suffers death, dissolution, and destruction. The materialist, the material people here that are all about physicality and things that you have in your possession, they want to tell you that there's a such thing, because for them it's death, because they can't go no further. And we'll get into that at a later time. If such were really the fact, then indeed would it be reasonable to argue the death of the soul as a logical conclusion. But in truth, nothing of this kind happens in nature. Nothing really dies. What is called death, even of the smallest and apparently most inanimate thing, is merely a change of form and condition of the energy and activities which it constitutes. Even the body does not die. In the strict sense of the word, we know it goes back into the dirt, right? The body is not an entity, for it is merely an aggregation of cells, and these cells are merely material vehicles for a certain form of energy which animates and vitalizes them. What is the vitalization? Prana. All right? Prana, remember that. When the soul passes from the body, the units composing the body manifest repulsion for each other in place of the attraction which formerly held them together, right? In other words, the souls, there's an attraction, okay, because of the prana that's in the body, which is your spirit, the life force holds this body together. But once your life force departs this casing, then there's a repulsion of the cells, and the body starts to disintegrate, starts to break apart. Rigor mortis sets in. You have your last bowel movement. Then your fluids start to leak out of every opening. And then the body just starts to, how you watch a time lapse thing, the body just starts to break down. And you know what? It goes right back into the earth. If you leave a body sitting on a surface and you don't bury it, it's going to break right. The birds going to feast. They going to get their food off of it. Okay. The maggots going to come out and giving life still. Flies are going to come. Right? And then the rest of you is just going to disintegrate, and there'll only be bones. So even in death, there's life. The unifying force which has held them together withdraw its powers, and the reverse activity is manifested, which is what I just described when you pass out of the body. As a writer well said, the body is never more alive than when it is dead. As another writer has said, death is but an aspect of life, and the destruction of one material form is but a prelude to the building up of another. So the argument of the materialist really lacks its major premise, and all reasoning based thereon must be faulty and leading to a false conclusion. But the advanced occultist or other spiritually developed person doesn't require to seriously consider the argument of the materialist, nor would he even, though these arguments were 100 times more logical. For such a person has awakened within himself the higher psychic and spiritual faculties, whereby he may actually know that the soul perishes not when the body dissolves. Your soul never perishes. Okay? When one is able to leave the physical body behind and actually travel in the regions of the other side, as in the case of many advanced individuals, any purely speculative discussions or arguments on the reality of life after death take on the appearance of absurdity and futility. When you hear somebody say, oh, he died, he gone, that is absurd. and it's futile. He's still living. We know that when you understand that, right? If an individual has not yet reached the stage of physical and spiritual discernment, whereby he is given the evidence of the higher sense on the question of the survival of the soul, finds his reason demanding something akin to proof. They want proof. How you know people still live? How you know that? They want proof because they haven't reached the stage of physical and spiritual discernment. Okay? Let him turn his mental gaze inward instead of outward, and there he'll find that which he seeks. For at the last, as all philosophy teaches us, the world of the inner is far more real than is the world of the outer phenomena. And this is true. In fact, man has no actual knowledge of the outer. All he has is the report of the inner upon the impressions received from the outer. Okay? All you know is what your brain is telling you, what you're looking at. Oh, that's a car. Your brain is telling you that because you've been taught to think that that's what that is, right? Man sees not the tree at which he is gazing, he perceives but the inverted image of that tree pictured upon his retina. Nay, more, his mind doesn't even see this image, for it receives only the vibratory report of the nerves whose ends have been excited by that image. So we need not be ashamed of taking mental stock of the inner recesses of our mind, for many of the deepest truths are recorded there in your mind. If you think, if you tap in and don't let another control it, you'll get to it. In the great subconscious and superconscious regions of the mind are to be found a knowledge of many fundamental truths of the universe. Between two of these truths, most strongly impressed are these. Number one, the certainty of the existence of a supreme universal power under, back of, and supporting the phenomenal world. We know that in the backdrop behind everything we see, there's a source, right? That same source that said, let there be light. There's a source. And we ain't see it, but we know that it's there, right? Two, the certainty of the immorality of the real self, knowing that your real self is really immoral, right? There's something within which fire cannot destroy, water cannot drown, nor air blow away. The mental eye turned inward will always find the I with the certainty of its imperishability, knowing that I exist. I am. I am. It is true that this is a different kind of proof from that required regarding material and physical objects. But what of that? The truth sought is a fact of spiritual inner life and not of the physical outer life. Therefore, it must be looked for within and not without the soul itself. You never look for truth outside of yourself. That's called exoteric when you're going outside and you're going to religion. But we all got to start somewhere, right? Because we don't know it coming in the world, right? You got to start somewhere. But esoteric is when you go within. Okay, we all want to strive to be esoteric, where you don't need somebody outside to read a book to you. You just have a knowing. The objective intellect concerns physical objects alone. The subjective intellect or intuition concerns physical, psychical, and spiritual objects. Okay, so the objective intellect concerns what they see on the outside. When you're objective, you're looking at what's on the outside of you, what you're being told, what you learned here, what you learned there. But when you're subjective, you're using your natural intellect and your natural intuition. Okay, and that concerns psychical and spiritual objects. The one, the body of things, the other, the soul of things. So being objective is the body of things, seeing the physical. Subjective is the soul of a thing. It's that inner knowing, okay? Look for knowledge. Concern either class of things in its own appropriate region of your being. Okay, let me go back to that again because that didn't get read right. The subjective intellect or intuition concerns physical and spiritual objects. The one, the body of things, the other, the soul of things. Look for knowledge. Concern either class of things in its own appropriate region of your being. Okay? You know how to classify these things. You're looking outside yourself, you know it's subjective. You going from within, and somebody say, how you know that? I just know it. I just got a feeling at my intuition. Okay? Know how to classify that. Let the soul speak for itself, and you'll find that its song will ring forth clearly, strongly, and gloriously. There is no death. There is no death. There is no death. There is not but life. And that life is life everlasting. Such is the song of the soul. It's chanting to you. Its mantra is, I'm going to live forever. I'm going to live forever. Ain't no death. Ain't no death. Ain't no death. You got to remember that. So when you start thinking about when you get sick or you get, you're on your deathbed, your so-called deathbed, you only got a better life waiting for you. A younger body. You're more vibrant. Okay? That's a beautiful thing. They actually have death doulas now. They do, where people actually help people to transition out. Especially, they use them a lot in nursing homes where they have a death rattle. I've been looking into it, honey. I've been looking into it. This breathing that they do before they're getting ready to leave the body, and they see the peace come over them when they take their last breath. And, it's also so-called a phenomenon, but we know it's true that when people are getting ready to die, they see their loved ones, somebody in a room with them that you can't see, but they can see them. And they say, oh, there's my husband, or oh, my daughter that passed years ago. They see. You see, it's a beautiful thing. It's pulling off this shell, this husk, like the caterpillar. He gets rid of all them legs and he flies. We got to look at this differently, y'all, because it's life after life. There is no death. Just know when your loved ones pass, either they got you in their mind and they moving on and they love you. My grandmother has come to me so many times throughout the years, and my grandmama has 17 kids. So, and an innumerable amount of grandchildren. All right. So trying to get in her presence, it wasn't easy because there was so many around her, but I still had a special bond with her. And she'll come to me from time to time, like in my dreams, and just hug me or tell me, you're going to be all right, baby. Or just stand there and smile at me. And I know it's real. And I know because I'm a lucid dreamer. I'll say to her, Grandma, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you. I know you gone, but I'm happy to see you. Even my grandfather has come. My aunts and uncles have come to me. But we got to be open for it, y'all. If your back is turned against them, your ancestors, okay, and you looking at this other being as being everything and all that, you giving your power away. And you also binding the hands of your loved ones that may want to help you. Now it's a different story if they got vices. If they messed up, you know what I'm saying, then they really can't do nothing for you. You probably can help them more, But anyway, it says here, listen for it. Such is the song of the soul. There is nothing but life everlasting. Listen for it is the silence. For there alone can its vibrations reach your eager ears. It is the song of life, ever denying death. There is no death. There is nothing but life everlasting, forever and ever, ever, forever, ever. All right? So now, y'all get it when I say there is no death. But it is a subjective knowing. Okay, this is not something this is for somebody who's spiritually connected. A person who's objective is only looking at, well, damn, the body dead, so they gone. No, they're not. They're at their funeral. They looking. They see everything. Remember, I told you get 30 days. 30 days after you leave this husk, this shell. You get 30 days. Okay. So the funeral happens before 30 days. They right there looking. Okay. But what I will tell you is this. When you mourn your loved ones, be they friend or family, you hold them back. You don't want to be, oh man. Don't do all that. Don't do all that. Because what you're doing is you anchoring them. You like a weight. Then they like, oh God. Oh man. I just can't leave. Watch the movie What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. Please cop that movie. You got to see that movie, What Dreams May Come. I'll give you a snippet of it. Robin Williams and his wife had a beautiful life together. Their children died, car accident. Then Robin was a doctor. I hate to do a spoiler alert, but let's just put it this way. One of them passed, the husband or the wife passed, and the other one committed suicide. And his journey in the astral realm was to try to go and free her, because suicide is a no. That is a no. You don't do that, because when you commit suicide, you are hurting so much more than yourself. You are making a total different outcome for other people. Okay, so that is a no, but you got to see that movie. And I love the cinematography when he passes, or when the person passes and they get out of their body and they go back home, and they're like, what are they doing? Why aren't they saying anything to me? That movie is awesome. It's called What Dreams May Come, featuring Robin Williams. Okay, so I thank y'all for joining me for another reading. And ain't that the good news, y'all? Ain't no death. Ain't no death. It's called transitioning. It's only life after life. Just like, it's just a beautiful thing. And my husband's like, babe, you weird, because why you want to talk about death? Even I got a girlfriend, she's a little older than me, and she's like, I don't want to talk about that. I'm gonna live. And I just can't get through to her, for her to see that, you will. You're right, you will live. That is your subconscious telling you that you're gonna live. There is no death. So don't be afraid of leaving the body. The freedom that you experience is unfreaking believable. I've gotten out of my body just astral projecting. Okay. And you can walk the walls and just all of this. It's just that people who are still in this physical prison can't see, feel, or hear you. They just can't, unless they are psychically developed, or really mentally developed, spiritually developed, to see into other realms. But on that note, y'all, have a good one. Thank you for joining your girl, Unique Air. Please don't forget to press like, share, subscribe. I'm going to keep on going. I got loads and loads of books that I've gathered throughout the years, a lot of knowledge to share. So I got one that I'm going to be doing on consciousness, and one, this is a little bit off the beaten path, but it's going to be about the transformation of America, talking about these MK Ultra mind control slaves and how they traumatize men and women and children, and use fairy tales and religion to do it. Okay, to give you alter ego, just showing how they splicing you up even on the spiritual realm. It ain't just physical; it's all up in here. It's deep. So I think it deserves a read. It's a pretty thick book, about like that. I think it deserves a read because it goes into what happens when you give somebody else control, or when you're given over to be controlled by another, even if it's by your parents. Because the young lady in the book, her father was sexually molesting her. Her mother didn't treat her right, and her father was getting her ready to become a whore for the politicians. So I think that's just going into the physical lower level of it. And the last reading I did about earthbound souls, and I talked about the lower levels of the seventh plane, where these people are beasts, and that's where they go. The stuff I'm going to read to you from that book, when I do start it, is going to show you why these kind of people, there's no hope for them. There's none. And unfortunately, these have been the people that have been ruling us under a spell, a ghost spell. Okay, gospel, go spell truth. Gospel, go spell lie. Everything has been inverted. Everything has been turned here in this upside down world. Also, cop the Matrix. Watch that again. Jog your spiritual memory. Get your mind right. Get your mind right. Shake yourself up. Okay, because it's a changing guard now. Things are about to get better. But before they can get to that point, it's got to get chaos. So then you can get order out of the chaos. But for some people who are on a certain spiritual level, it ain't going to even touch them. Remember the scripture that says, 1,000 may fall by your left hand, 10,000 by your right, but it won't come nigh your dwelling, because you'll be abiding under the shadow of the wings of the Almighty. That's knowledge. You'll have the knowledge and the know-how and the spiritual oomph to avoid all them things. You'll have the spiritual oomph to avoid all these. And you know what I'm saying? And spirit will move you in places and ways where you don't have to deal with that. All right? You'll be hidden. in plain sight, hidden in plain sight. Nothing can touch or bother you because spirit is watching over you, right? So, with that being said, celebrate the fact that you will never die. But how are you going to live on the other side? That's the thing. Keep watching my videos. Find out what hurts your astral body. Find out what stops you from progressing and ascending. Keep doing the studies. Keep doing the research. Because when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Peace, y'all. Have a good evening.